Hello, and welcome to Keep It Dirty, a podcast where my guests share their why behind their personal story, living functionally through our ever changing environment and how they are impacting our world locally and globally. I am your host, Leslie Dowling, a certified functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner and public speaker, helping companies jumpstart their path to increase revenue and productivity through restorative health techniques. And today it is a pleasure to welcome my guest, Natalia Serrano. She is also a certified functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner and went through the same schooling as I did. So it's such a pleasure to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I'd love to know how you got involved with or why you decided to take further pursue your schooling through functional modalities, eating healthy, and what were you doing before you got into this whole realm of really trying to empower others to live optimally through just eating healthy?
Yeah, sure. So everything started for me when I lost my mom when she was 57 years old of a cancer. And I realized I needed to take control of my own health. At that time, I used to be incorporated for 13 years in finance, and I was exposed to a lot of stress. And I always felt that I needed to learn to manage it better. But unfortunately, I didn't have the tools at that time to do it. And when I was in the middle of a stressful situation, because I felt like I have a lot in my plate, I realized I needed a change. I needed to slow down. So that's the beginning of my slow down journey. In that process, I live in 3 different countries, and ev-
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
sorry, it's okay. So everything that happens in that process, um, allow me to be a little bit more with myself. And I always took my cooking with me because that was what was helping me to slow down. So when I started that journey, I realized I wanted to learn more about how the body works and how the food interacts with the body and how we can heal through food. So that's when I started this journey. And it has been since I started 5 years. The last 2 years is when I study the most, or like the last 2 years and a half. And it has been my own healing journey that allows me to realize that I want to help women and men to find their heart and to open their heart through food. So that's my calling, that's my purpose. And I feel like there is a lot of joy inside of us that sometimes we get disconnected with because we are doing too many things. So that's a little bit what my journey has been. I'm always thankful for corporate. I think that it gave me a lot of things in my life. I met my husband through that world, and it has allowed me to see different cultures and to be who I am now. So I'm always kind of like thankful for that opportunity, and also thankful to have the new opportunity to be my own boss and entrepreneur and starting this journey. So
Tell me a little bit about what your focus is with your business, and maybe you could tell me more about what you're doing with your business.
sure. So right now I have an office in a healing center where I help clients to either find the connection that they're looking for with food. Sometimes it can be that they are dealing with an autoimmune. Sometimes it can be that they are having extra weight and they want to understand how to eat better. So what I do is I walk them through a process of understanding the history and everything that gets them where they are, and start making connections with their body and the food. So I meet them exactly where they are. and we go at their own speed. And sometimes what I have seen is that the making connections and understanding how their body works and really going deep in understanding why they want to make a change makes a big impact in their lives. So a lot of the times we use different techniques to slow down, but most of my focus is trying to get them to cook. It's really important to understand what is the connection with food, to see it and look at the plate, to slow down. So, and also to understand why they are eating what they're eating. So it's a little bit that has been my journey, and that's what I'm helping people with. I also have host some cooking classes where I teach people how to cook some recipes, and they like it. They're happy, and they always get some tips of how to take care more of their bodies.
Oh, that's wonderful. And now, do you go to like, I don't know, different companies that might have kitchens, or do you do? How do you connect and collaborate and have these group settings, or do you do this at your home?
So I have done a couple of classes with a kitchen school close to my house where they have classes for kids. So I have done some classes there. And the other ones, I give some classes in Zoom to a group of people in New York that I got a job through a company that helps people to eat healthier. And what I have seen is that a lot of the people gets excited, and then they try the recipe, and then they tell me how much they like it, and then they start telling me every day I cook more, I feel like I am getting better at it. So that's fascinating for me, because I think that nobody is born with like a lot of the cooking skills, but we develop them. And my goal is to make sure that everybody understands that they can do it. It's always a possibility, even though maybe sometimes we cannot eat it, but it's okay. We can always try.
So, what do you think the biggest hurdles are for people trying to figure out what to get at the supermarket, maybe, or getting the correct choice of food groups, or maybe straying from the packaged and processed? Because it's definitely, I mean, for us, we've been through this. You know, we're educated. We understand how it affects our body when we eat processed foods. So when you educate them, what do you think the biggest hurdles are for people that are going through your program, or for people in general out there, if you could give anybody tips?
So I think that the biggest struggle I think is a little bit of overwhelming, too much information, and don't really know what information to believe and what don't, because there is that's actually one of the also the reasons why I start this, because when I started I said it's impossible that it's that complicated, it has to be simple. And I feel like sometimes that's one of the reasons that they don't really know. Sometimes it's education. So that's one of the reasons that they don't really understand which, for example, which oils are good for you and which oils are not. Sometimes is the lack of planning, because it takes 1 hour to sit down and plan your meals, but a lot of us don't do it sometimes. And when that happens, it creates a chaos, and then everybody is like trying to go to the grocery at different days in the week, and they don't plan ahead. So I think that that's one of them. And the other one that I have find, it's that sometimes they are thinking that everybody around them needs to be ready to make the change. And in my opinion and in my own life, I haven't waited for everybody around me to be ready for it. I decided to take control of my own health, and I did the change. So those are the things that I have found the most. And a lot of times is the belief that we don't have enough time to cook. When you think about it, by the time you order a takeaway, pick it up, and throw the garbage that it has, it's probably the same time. So it's kind of like a misconception sometimes that cooking is too complicated.
I find that, especially with when we were really compromised, where we were home, we were working from home. I know a lot of people say that they were not exercising as much, or they've gained weight, and it's probably because they're not making the correct food choices. And that's really the time that we could connect, and we could eat at home and prepare and make food. And so do you find that people that are both working, maybe picking their kids up at daycare and trying to prep, I guess, what kind of advice do you give them? Like, do you say, prep over the weekends, or which I love the meal planning, but so what kind of strategies have you given the people that you've been working with on that?
So a lot of the times I said start, like, of course, planning. If you can meal, like, do a batch meal planning in the weekend, using things like the instant pot or certain things that make it a little bit faster, especially when you have toddlers and you need to leave something cooking and go and be with your kids. And a lot of the times it's actually learning how to use leftovers too, because a lot of the people don't realize that it's a great tool and we can always make double batch. There is a lot of help that I guess that I give them, because sometimes they don't know that some tools exist, and there is tools that help us to see, okay, you want to cook leftovers or not. So things like that, I think that it always help. And also eventually, if they want to use companies that already deliver good quality food, that's also a valid option. I think that sometimes we just need to mix different options and don't think that everything has to be only we cooking all the time. There is different options out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would love to know the people that you've been working with as they're growing and integrating, cooking and prepping. It sounds like, first of all, it's so much healthier because they know what they're purchasing, they know what they're putting in their mouths, and the children, and how wonderful they're instilling such great healthy habits to the next generation. And I was just curious, do you find that people that, you're working with, or just generally, just have really bad habits of really just constrained with their schedules, are so bogged down, and they rush to get home, to rush the kids here and there? Do you find that a lot of these people are going through drive-throughs and not even realizing how that depletes us of our nutrients and minerals, and just is creating issues with digestive issues? And you see younger and younger kids with celiac and Crohn's disease and digestive issues. I was just curious how you kind of empower your group of people that you work with to make them aware of all of these variables out there.
Yeah, so I think that I have to meet people where they are, and sometimes that includes maybe going through those drive-throughs. So what I will try to do in that case is kind of like try to make sure that they use the best options available in that situation. But of course, what I do is try to reinforce the feminine energy. So the feminine energy, it's what calms us down and what helps us to slow down. And there's different ways to get it. So for some people it's cooking, for some people it's painting, for some people it's knitting, for some people is arranging flowers, gardening, all those tools. Unfortunately, when we are in the a lot of the times in the busy world, when we are like full-time working moms and families that are really busy, we forget about it. And we are in a constant like doing and doing and doing, and we forget to slow down. And our body is telling us to slow down. So that's a little bit where I try to educate people that by doing sometimes that change, they can actually feel different. And that's when they start feeling better. And I think that is a big um, achievement to start feeling better and to be able to slow down. But I, of course, train them about the different ingredients that they use in certain foods, so they are aware that sometimes it's a short-term solution, but with a long-term result.
No, that's beautiful, and that's so true. And I guess depending on where you live, and what is available to you, I know that certain people, they love to shop at certain supermarkets, or people don't have access. Like here for me in Pennsylvania, there's a ton of farmers markets and stands now that spring is here and it's getting warmer on the side of the road that you could purchase products. Or people have constraints with budget, and it's great to eat organic, but I hear a lot of people saying, well, I can't afford this organic. What do we do? So for the people that are listening, the viewers and the listeners today, what kind of advice can you give them when they go
So
shopping for
in
food?
that case, I do the advice of trying to make sure that at least the 10 dirty vegetables and fruits that are classified by the EWG organization, those, if it's possible, try to make them organic. And if it's not, at least take the peel off and like try to adjust to it. I have to sometimes meet people where they are, and I don't go and focus, especially the first thing in organic, because I know that sometimes it can be really expensive. And the other solution is to join a CSA, that you can have chairs and you can get actually different vegetables every week. And it actually forces you to use different vegetables. So sometimes that's what I try to focus in, like variety. People need to find variety in the diet. And I think that that's a great solution. And that's what I do. I try to educate in our what things they can try to be careful with. And of course, I leave it up to them if they follow that advice. But I think that it's a good beginning.
I think that's such a key part, is that you're not putting these restrictions on them. You're easing them into this new way of approaching food and being mindful with eating and taking the time to prep. And it could be very enjoyable, and especially with children, right? For them to have such positive experiences in the kitchen, which I think is a wonderful thing. And I think that's why, for me, my three sons really enjoy being more hands-on in the kitchen. And my two older boys are really great cooks, because they enjoy the process of going to the market, picking and choosing their fruits and vegetables and whatever they're eating. So now for you, I was wondering, as when you were a little girl, did you have really positive experiences with prepping or traditional, ways of getting together with family gatherings? So
Yeah.
maybe you could
So
share a little bit about
yeah,
that.
of course. Well, I am from Colombia, and I was lucky enough to have a girl that was cooking in my house every day from scratch, every meal. But I always like to be involved in the kitchen. So I try to help. I start helping with the juice. We have different type of fruits that we only use for juice as well, because we have so many fruits and vegetables. So I used to start making juice, and then I got a book of how to make desserts, and then I start cooking some desserts. And eventually, when my mom also likes to cook, I was trying to help her. So I was able to I was exposed to food that was really natural. I feel like maybe we have a lot of sugar in the diet as well, but at the same time, I was kind of like eating real food. So I always was kind of like used to eat food made from scratch, because it's cheaper, or it was cheaper than buying other type of food. So then when I moved to live in the main city where I study college and everything, I had to cook by myself. So I had to get exposed to learning. But cooking in Colombia is always, we try to make it, like a lot of the times, for example, my dad likes to make a paella. So we try to make, each of us was cutting something, and it's always, we try to involve all the family in the process. And cooking for us is the way that we show our love to people. So it's always a tradition, and we like to cook a lot. And I think that we like to eat and share things. So yeah, that was my experience, and I was really exposed to it.
And what is the expression? What do we do in the U.S.? We eat to live, but in a lot of other cultures, they live to eat. Is that the way it is? Did you ever hear, of that
Yeah,
expression?
I think
Um,
so. Yeah.
and it's really wonderful when you could talk to people who have had really positive experiences as a child or gathering the family together. With my mother's side, she was first generation from Italy. And I remember gathering all of the family together on a Sunday, and we'd make ravioli, and it was just a whole day event.
Mhm.
And the guys would be working on something else, doing something. And that's something that I just try to instill in my children. But as the family has gone different ways, I think here in the US, we're kind of all over the country.
Mhm.
So I think that's why it's more important to try to keep tradition and at least have one day, right, to sit
Yeah.
together as a family.
But also,
So,
like, for example, Sunday for us, it wasn't like you just cook a big meal and then you go and do some other activities. It was kind of like you make a big meal, then you eat the big meal, and then you actually take a nap. So a lot of people go and take a nap, and it's just normal. So I think that that's one of the things. And the other thing is that I was probably exposed to a lot of bacteria and dirt.
mhm.
Like, we are not over cleaning things. And when we have kids, we let them a little bit be a little bit more free, or at least I felt like I wasn't really worried for everything all the time. Um, and it's important because that helps us develop our immune system too. So I think that has something to do, and also the quality of the food. I mean, there is in certain countries there are some things that are more expensive, and it's a little bit go to just finding the vegetables and the fruits and the proteins and make the meals. Like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. So I felt like that's a little bit different.
So I would assume, or maybe I'm wrong, I guess, what is your favorite type of dishes to make? Something that reminds you of home and, some really wonderful Colombian dishes?
Well, some of them are Colombian. I like some Colombian food, and of course, I like we eat a lot of soups. For some reason, I grew up in warm weather, but we always eat soups. So it's kind of like, people is like, this is a little bit weird. It's 85 outside and you're eating soups, but this is just the way it is. So for me, when I make I don't know, there is a like a typical soup that is like potato and chicken, and it has like some special herb that is from Colombia. But when I do that, it's kind of like it remind me my home, and then we put some avocado on top, and like there is just things like that. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to find the ingredients, so because there's a special type of potato, so I have to buy the frozen potato and go to a special supermarket to do it. But when I do it, I feel like it's exciting, and I share the tradition with my son, so he likes that soup. So it's kind of like it's a process. Um, and I try just to, yeah, I mean, basically, when you look at Colombian food, there is the base seasonings of the food is garlic, onion, and tomato. So it's not, and salt. It's not that hard sometimes, but it's just the way that the food is seasoned that make you like feel like you're at home.
I love that. And so, what is your favorite dish to make? Colombian, non-Colombian? What would be your favorite go-to comfort food for you?
Oh, that's
I love asking these questions because you get to know someone. Yeah,
yeah.
try to put you on the spot. No, but if there's something that comes into your, or is it a dessert or something that reminds you of a special occasion?
Yeah, well, I think that for example, like that soup that I was telling you, like that's one of my favorite things to do because I feel like it remind me a little bit home. Or like a kind of like a dessert with coconut, or something with mango. Yeah, it's hard for me to pick a favorite because I believe that I enjoy everything I eat. There is no one single day that I don't enjoy something. But I just like to kind of like play a little bit with vegetables and mix colors and flavors and see what it comes. I mean, sometimes I do a lot of stir fries and a lot of just like mixing colors. I try to always follow the Eat by the Rainbow, and I try to mix a lot of colors in my food.
So, if there is one person that you could think of that was inspired you, or when you were younger, that was your role model, we would love to know who would that be, or who is that? Who would that person be?
Um, well, in terms of colors and foods, I think that my mom was my inspiration. She always not only likes to eat colors, but she also was really colorful. She likes a lot of
Oh,
colors in her clothes, and I think that she was always really good in decorating, for example, and like things like that. So I think that that's one of my role models. Um, yeah, I think that a lot of the women in my family also were kind of like really, I guess, role models because they were amazing. They are amazing women.
oh, that's awesome. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping, are some of them close by, or most of your family still in Colombia, or
Yeah,
that
most
you
of
could
my family
visit?
is still in Colombia.
Is still in
I have
Colombia?
a couple of cousins that are around, but yeah,
Mhm.
most of the people, at least for my family side, are
Yeah.
back in Colombia.
Oh, well, this has been such a pleasure. I just love hearing your story, and I just had felt this connection when we would get on our weekly chats with fellow practitioners through the school that we went through. And it's so nice to always hear about people's wins, their shares, how they're taking their schooling to the next level through educating others and starting businesses. And it was such a pleasure talking with you. So we all would love to know, are you doing anything going forward, any special packages, or how can people find you?
Well, yeah. So right now I'm seeing one-to-one clients. I want to get more experience and continue working with clients. So they can find me in www.natalia, the line like this. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
serrano.com. And then they can always book a discovery call with me for 30 minutes and we can see if we are the right fit. And then I'm going to do some talks in public libraries and things like that. I have one in July coming. Um, and that's my idea, is to keep educating people and empower them to make sure that they know that they are the ones that can change their health. Um, Nobody else is going to do it for us. We need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about on Instagram? If people want to check you
Yeah.
out there, what is your handle?
So it's at Natalia Wellness.
Okay.
Natalia Serrano Wellness. Sorry.
At Natalia Serrano Wellness. And
Wellness. Yeah.
how do you spell your last name?
Serrano, like the peppers.
Okay. Perfect.
It's
I
easier to
love it.
remember that way.
Well, again, I wanted to thank viewers and listeners to please listen in to Keep It Dirty. We have such wonderful guests on. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe. And again, Natalia, it was such a pleasure having you on as my guest today. And remember, to all the viewers and listeners, just remember to keep it dirty and have a wonderful day.